Welcome to the Nation of History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Rescuer Thomas Cole tends to a fallen comrade near Da Nang, Vietnam in 1966. Even while injured himself, he provided immediate medical care as he awaited air evacuation. A crowd scrambles for a spot on the last helicopter to leave Saigon, Vietnam on April 30, 1975. The evacuation, called Operation Frequent Wind, airlifted thousands of civilians and U.S. Embassy staff. Sailors test padded life jackets at a naval base, possibly Norfolk, United States, in 1917. The prototypes resemble mattresses stuffed with plant fiber, designed to keep the body afloat during maritime emergencies. John Brower Minnoch is stretchered at the University of Washington Medical Center in Seattle in 1978. At 37, he weighed about 1,397 pounds, the highest recorded human weight. A U.S. paratrooper waits for evacuation in the A Shau Valley, Vietnam, during the Battle of Dong Ap Bia Hill in May 1969. Known as Hamburger Hill, the assault aimed to seize positions near the Laos border, requiring heavy air support and medical evacuations. A teacher administers corporal punishment to a student over a desk in Menominee, Wisconsin in 1905. At the time, strict disciplinary methods were common in schools and viewed as acceptable behavior correction. Female workers operate at the National Filling Factory in Chilwell, Nottinghamshire, England in 1917. During the World War I, thousands of women took on essential industrial roles, manufacturing shells for the front. The Apollo 13 service module appears severely damaged, seen from the lunar module in lunar orbit in 1970. The trouble began on April 13th when an oxygen tank failed, forcing the astronauts to use the lunar module as an emergency shelter. Trained dogs accompany soldiers wearing protective masks during an exercise in Europe, 1944. The gear was intended to shield both humans and animals from toxic agents during missions in conflict zones. Soldiers and workers erect concrete panels in Berlin, East Germany, on August 13, 1961. The new barrier soon stretched 155 kilometers, splitting families and blocking roads. Engineers test the Messerschmitt Bf-109 fighter in a wind tunnel in Göttingen, Germany, in 1940. The controlled airflow assessed lift and drag, enabling wing and radiator tweaks to boost speed. Two women spar in a boxing ring erected atop the Ball Building, part of the Desilu Studios, now Paramount, in Hollywood, California, in 1938. Women's physical training was gaining popularity, reflecting advances in female participation in sports and entertainment. William Steig poses with Maurice Tilly, a French professional wrestler, in 1937. Nicknamed the French Angel, Tillet's striking features from acromegaly later inspired the character Shrek. Workers fit the gun turret on a Matilda tank at the Ministry of Supply factory in England, 1941. The precise assembly ensured the vehicle received its main armament before field trials. Last known photograph of Vladimir Lenin, taken during his lifetime, showing him in a wheelchair after 3 strokes in prior years. The image was shot in 1923 at the Gorky residence, where Lenin spent his final months under constant medical care. Models showcase clothing adapted for air raid shelters in London, England in 1939. The outfits feature hoods and durable fabrics paired with gas masks, essential gear for protection during imminent air raids. Nurses clear debris at St. Peter's Hospital in London after a bombing in 1941. German air raids damaged the building, disrupting vital medical services. Roger Fenton sets up his photographic carriage near Sevastopol, Crimea, in 1855. The vehicle served as a mobile darkroom, processing wet plates in the field during the Crimean War. In Nintendo's early years, around 1895, the Japanese company focused exclusively on handmade Hanafuda playing cards. Founded in 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi in Kyoto, Nintendo earned recognition for the high quality and refined design of its decks. Children shuck oysters at the Pass Packing Company plant in Pass Christian, Mississippi, in 1911. They removed shells to supply local and nationwide markets with fresh seafood. Sword Swallower performs his act in Weihai, China, in 1922. The demonstration requires breath control, esophageal flexibility, and well-polished blades to minimize cuts. The iceberg believed to have caused the Titanic's sinking was photographed a few miles south of the ship's last known position on April 15, 1912. Nursing students receive hands-on training at Roosevelt Hospital in New York City in 1938. The curriculum covered anatomy, ethics, and extensive clinical rotations, preparing professionals to meet rising public health demands. Patrons celebrate the end of Prohibition at a Chicago bar on December 5, 1933. The repeal of the 18th Amendment and ratification of the 21st Amendment legalized the manufacture and sale of alcoholic beverages again. Prospectors and travelers climb the snow-covered Chilkoot Pass between Alaska and Yukon Territory. Each person carried about 1,000 pounds of supplies, the official requirement for facing the Arctic winter. Colonel Harlan Sanders poses with a customer in a KFC restaurant during the 1960s brand expansion. The era's decor and buckets of fried chicken symbolized the rise of fast food in the United States. Street vendors sell fruits and vegetables on a New York City street in 1896. Many immigrants relied on this trade to survive amid the city's rapid urbanization. Interior of the Apollo White Command module examined at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida, in 1967. A ground test incident caused severe cabin damage, revealing material and wiring flaws. Charlie Chaplin and Paulette Goddard rest backstage on the set of Modern Times in Los Angeles, 1936. The film used factory sets to depict workers' lives during the economic crisis, keeping the story silent. Female boxer trains in a New York City photo studio in 1890. Women's boxing gained traction in urban gyms during the 1880s, promoting health and independence. Female student practices pole climbing in Charlestown High School's gym class in Boston, 1890. The school adopted Swedish exercises to strengthen arms and posture, following new physical education ideas. Jenny McGregor was arrested for selling distilled spirits hidden in adapted life preservers at New York Harbor in 1924. Prohibition outlawed the commercial sale of these beverages, prompting bootleggers to devise ingenious hideouts. The McDonnell XP-67 Moonbat prototype is unveiled at Lambert Field Air Force Base in St. Louis, Missouri in 1944. Designed for higher speed and altitude, the aircraft featured two Continental 12-cylinder engines and wings blended into the fuselage to reduce drag. Freddie Mercury, lead singer of Queen, playfully rides on the shoulders of someone dressed as Darth Vader around 1980. Sean Connery signs a coconut for a young fan during a break on the set of Dr. No in Jamaica in 1961. The film marked his debut as James Bond, launching one of cinema's most iconic franchises. Prince George of England, left, and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, right, posed together in a historic photograph. Both were cousins and shared a remarkable physical resemblance, often noted at official and family gatherings. James Stewart at an airbase in England, 1944. The award-winning actor piloted heavy bombers for the U.S. Army Air Forces, completing 20 missions in support of Allied forces. World War II veterans visit Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia, in 1951. The rows of white headstones honor thousands of service members who served the country. Boy racer and his mechanic pose at Junior Racers Day at Tacoma Speedway, Washington, in 1914. The wooden oval track measured nearly 1.8 miles and held youth races to foster new talent. Buster Keaton and Zsa Gabor pose at the Moulin Rouge in Paris in 1959. Keaton, a silent film master, toured Europe to promote his work and attend cultural events. Allied soldiers pose with a captured Panzerschreck launcher near the front line in Europe, 1944. The German tube, designed to stop armored vehicles, was studied by the Allies and inspired modifications in their own designs. Patients perform exercises at the Sint Willibrordus Mental Hospital in Curaçao, Netherlands, in 1956. The daily physical routine aimed to improve circulation and discipline, following the period's medical guidelines. Robert Duvall holds a cue card on The Godfather set in New York City, 1972. Marlon Brando, known for improvising and avoiding memorization, read discreetly to maintain spontaneity during takes. During World War II, Japanese forces used giant tubular structures to detect enemy aircraft. These acoustic devices amplified distant sounds, guiding defenders before modern radar arrived. Steel worker balances on a beam during skyscraper construction in Chicago, Illinois, around 1965. The crew erected steel columns that shaped the city's famous skyline using only simple safety belts. A ball turret gunner poses strapped into the compartment of a B-17 bomber at a U.S. airfield, 1943. The rotating module allowed full defense against enemy fighters using .50 caliber machine guns. The first electric motor fire truck entered service with the Paris Fire Department in 1899. Powered by lead-acid batteries, the vehicle carried a water pump and equipment at about 12 miles per hour, eliminating horses and smoke. Visitors fill the beach and amusement park at Coney Island, New York, in the summer of 1954. Rides like the 1927 Cyclone roller coaster and the 1920 Wonder Wheel Ferris wheel drew families and tourists. The first Boeing 747 is unveiled to the public at the assembly plant in Everett, Washington on September 30, 1968. Known as the Jumbo Jet, it revolutionized commercial aviation with seating for over 400 passengers and 2 partial decks. Steam locomotives run on crowded rails in Chicago's rail hub, Illinois, United States, in 1950. The city was the world's largest rail junction, with dozens of companies moving passengers and freight between the east and west coasts. Sailors aboard the USS Lexington Rush to pull a damaged plane onto the deck in the Pacific, 1944. The swift action cleared the runway for another aircraft to land, highlighting crucial deck operation coordination. Supermarine Walrus is catapulted from HMS Pegasus aircraft carrier at about 68 miles per hour over the North Atlantic in 1942. The training prepares crews for search and reconnaissance missions using steam-powered rail and piston mechanisms installed on the deck. Inventor J.A. Purvis pilots his Dynasphere, a single-wheel vehicle, on Weston-super-Mare Beach in England in 1932. The large steel ring houses a gasoline engine and manual controls, reaching about 30 miles per hour. Boy assists in bicycle repairs at a neighborhood shop in London during the 1940s. Many children learned light trades as the city recovered from post-war challenges. Charles Stuart Rolls poses next to a Rolls-Royce automobile in Manchester, England, in 1904. That year, he co-founded the company with Henry Royce and soon became a British aviation pioneer by crossing the English Channel both ways. Boy sells Coca-Cola bottles at a roadside stand in the southern United States in 1936. Small businesses like this served travelers on newly paved roads, boosting the soda's popularity. Worker adjusts a steam engine in a workshop in Västerås, Sweden, in 1950. The plant maintained locomotives and generators that powered trains and sawmills after the war. The Clifton Suspension Bridge spans the Avon Gorge in Bristol, England, photographed in 1908. The structure became a symbol of Victorian engineering and still carries vehicular and pedestrian traffic, supported by wrought iron chains. Elsie Janis, at age 17, debuts in the musical The Vanderbilt Cup in New York City, 1906. Born in Ohio, she sings, acts, and composes songs that captivate Broadway audiences. Children attend a tea gathering in a traditional Japanese home around 1890. The children's ceremony uses miniature utensils and replicates chanoyu movements to teach courtesy and social harmony. Operators handle calls on the phone navigation line in Amsterdam, Netherlands, in 1963. Drivers described their starting point and received step-by-step directions before setting off. President Dwight D. Eisenhower pauses while painting a portrait of his daughter-in-law, Barbara, and grandchildren David, Ann, and Susan in 1954. The former military commander pursued painting as a relaxing hobby, completing over 300 works in his lifetime. A 3-story building is transported by barge across the Ohio River in the United States in 1916. The structure was carefully placed on a floating platform to avoid demolition and relocated to new land. Workers move an entire house on rails and rollers in San Francisco, California in 1919. The method avoided demolition by repositioning structures to accommodate urban growth and new street layouts. Visitors test the mechanical barrel at Mayan Dude Ranch, Bandera, Texas in 1953. The suspended device simulates a bucking bull ride, offering a controlled adventure to aspiring city cowboys. Girls play volleyball on stilts at Venice Beach in Los Angeles, California in 1934. Sean Connery and Brigitte Bardot meet for the first time in Deauville, France in 1968. The encounter preceded the Western film Chaleco, shot in Almeria, Spain, in which they starred. A Dior model is surrounded by a crowd in Paris, France in 1947 during the New Look debut. The cinched waist dress and full skirt, symbols of opulence, sparked outrage among some viewers still affected by wartime rationing. Marcel Marceau performs as Bip on the streets of Paris around 1948. The artist saved dozens of youths by aiding the resistance during the occupation, proving that silence can be an act of courage. John McCain poses with his squadron at Meridian Naval Air Station, Mississippi in 1965. At the time, he was serving as a U.S. Navy A-4 Skyhawk fighter pilot, preparing for missions in Southeast Asia. Contestants parade in a Most Beautiful Legs competition in Paris, France in 1950. The event was held at a local nightclub showcasing beauty, fashion, and entertainment in the post-war era. Pioneers race in the Cherokee Outlet Land Run in Oklahoma Territory on September 16, 1893. Within 10 seconds of the official signal, thousands of riders and wagons compete for parcels totaling over 8 million acres granted by the government. The Garrick Theater in Chicago, Illinois, opened in 1891 and was designed by renowned architect Louis Sullivan. With its ornate facade and luxurious interior, it became one of the city's premier venues for opera, plays, and performances. The crew of B-29 Waddy's wagon poses while repainting the nose art in the Mariana Islands, 1944. The unit, part of the 20th Air Force, customized the bomber to boost morale before Pacific missions. Hermann Göring and Polish President Ignacy Mościcki take part in a hunt in Poland on February 26, 1938. The event aimed to strengthen diplomatic ties between Germany and Poland amid rising political tensions in Europe. Portrait of Queen Elizabeth II in her coronation robes at Buckingham Palace, London, in June 1953. She wears the imperial state crown and holds the scepter and orb, the symbols of the British monarchy, after the ceremony at Westminster Abbey. A female police officer inspects the length of a swimmer's bathing suit on an Atlantic City beach in the 1920s. Morality laws required modest attire, setting minimum measurements for dresses and trunks. Students sit in a public school classroom in New York City in 1886. The compulsory education law passed in 1874 increased class sizes and extended school hours. In 1959, Volvo engineer Niels Bohlin invented the modern three-point seatbelt in a Y configuration. The safer, easier-to-use design dramatically reduced injuries in automobile collisions. A mother poses with her 4 twin children in a rural Soviet town in 1956. Multiple births were celebrated as symbols of national vitality and received state support. A mascot cat poses with the crew of a Royal Navy ship in 1941. Pets were common on board, helping control rats and providing emotional comfort to sailors during World War II. The roundhouse is constructed in London, England in 1847 as a locomotive shelter and turntable. Designed for the London and North Western Railway, it measured nearly 164 feet in diameter, facilitating train direction on busy lines. A chimpanzee bottle feeds a leopard cub at Southam Park Zoo, United Kingdom, in 1971. The young feline was rejected by its biological mother and cared for by the trained chimpanzee. A woman poses under an Art Deco hairdryer at a beauty fair in the 1930s. The sleek, functional design reflected the era's style, combining technological innovation with sophisticated aesthetics. New York, New Haven, and Hartford locomotive number 321 burst through the roundhouse wall in Hartford, Connecticut on July 8, 1905. The engine rolled off the turntable, smashed bricks, and came to rest outside the building with no serious injuries. The original Taco Bell menu, launched in California in the 1960s, featured Mexican-inspired dishes. It offered items like tacos for 19 cents, tostadas, burritos, enchiladas, and chili burgers, all prepared quickly. A woman carries a sewing machine through the streets of Kuwait City in 1955. At the time, home and hand sewing were common practices, contributing to family income and the creation of traditional garments. Street scene in downtown Cairo, Egypt in 1964, showing the city's daily bustle. Vintage vehicles, pedestrians, and vendors fill the lanes near the market, reflecting the era's urban dynamism. George Jenkins, founder of the public supermarket chain, poses in one of the stores in Lakeland, Florida, in 1963. He opened the first market in 1930, revolutionizing the industry with a focus on customer service, innovation, and convenience. Engineers install pneumatic tubes under the streets of London, United Kingdom's capital, in the mid-1860s. The line uses air pressure to propel small wagons about 2.5 miles between Euston and the General Post Office. The 8 Kennedy children posed together in the backyard of the Hyannisport Summer Home in Massachusetts in 1928. From left to right, Jean, Robert, Bobby, Patricia, Eunice, Kathleen, Rosemary, John, Jack, and Joseph Jr., children of Joseph and Rose Kennedy. People used nail-mounted candles as alarm clocks in London, United Kingdom, around 1800. The nail was embedded in the wax, and when it melted, it dropped onto a metal tray, making noise to wake the sleeper. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.